Welcome everyone. My name is Justin Chug with Ensable, and today we're going to be talking about optimizing our LinkedIn profiles. The whole purpose of this is to help us convert additional leads and really take advantage of everything that we talked about on our previous call, which was about 2 weeks ago, which was highlighting how to drive inbound traffic to our LinkedIn profiles. The strategies really consisted of two areas, the first of which was ranking higher within LinkedIn, and that was by optimizing some aspects of our profile, connecting to the right individuals, and really trying to optimize everything within from a keyword standpoint. We're going to talk a little bit more about ranking higher within search engines within LinkedIn. But also we talked a lot about driving inbound traffic by setting up lots of inbound leads and links to our profile. So if you missed that call or if you'd like to review that, feel free to check out the YouTube channel, and that'll be available for you at any time. Now, as a quick review, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the aspects of our previous call that talked about the LinkedIn profile optimization. If you'll notice, when LinkedIn is ranking within the search engines, what matters most to them is your name. So if your name matches whatever they're searching for, you'll find that that's what's going to rank highest within the search engines of LinkedIn. Your headline is also going to be important, but it's not going to have this weightier within the algorithm of LinkedIn. But keywords do make a big difference, and so there's, outside of just adding it to your name and your header, you can also add keywords to your profile. So the few areas that you can look at would be to your company descriptions, to schooling information, but there's lots of different sections. But sometimes stuffing those areas with keywords doesn't always make sense, and it makes the content feel a little bit awkward. And so another way to add keywords to your profile without actually filling up your job descriptions with random keywords is within the skills section. And this is a great place to hide different keywords to help you further increase your ranking within search engines of LinkedIn and helping you become more visible. Also, it's important to make sure that you've added yourself as an employee of any companies that you collaborate with or work with. This will be a significant boost in traffic to your profile. So if you have vendor relationships, so maybe let's say your company works with Cisco or an SD-WAN provider or a hosted PBX provider, or maybe it's a member of your lead exchange. So anytime that you can list yourself due to some type of strategic relationship or vendor relationship, you should really do so. Also, make sure that you've added projects to your profile. What this does is it helps solidify the algorithm within LinkedIn so that LinkedIn recognizes a link between your profile and their profile, because the projects creates an inbound link to your profile from another individual's LinkedIn profile. And what this does is it helps your profile become highlighted on their LinkedIn profile. Also, you're going to want to make sure that you've made your profile as publicly visible as possible, because what this does is it allows your profile to be more visible within Google, which helps drive additional inbound traffic. You can also customize your LinkedIn custom URL. You can, even if you've already customized it once, you can re-customize it. This is a great place to put in the industry keyword. You'll find that you'll rank higher within LinkedIn and Google by customizing this to some type of industry keyword like SD-WAN or hosted voice to help you rank higher. Now, let's go back to this title section of your profile, because we want to spend some time here, because this is where we're going to find the most traction. If you notice in your LinkedIn profile, there's two sections, and oftentimes they mirror each other. So you'll have a headline section that talks about being the co-founder or whatever your title may be, and then you'll have another section that's actually your official position. And unfortunately, most of us will use the title twice here, which really doesn't help you much. And so what we want to do is we want to modify this headline section to help optimize your profile. Now, while your name may have the weightiest factor in the search engines within LinkedIn, the most important aspect of your profile overall really is going to be the headline. because when someone accepts or rejects your connection invite, it's going to be based off of your headline. This is what shows up everywhere across LinkedIn when they're highlighting your profile. So if you've done the homework and done the work of actually getting your profile out there by following and connecting and engaging, then what they're going to see is not your title, but your headline. And so creating a headline that's enticing, creating a headline that actually encourages folks to connect with you, this is what's going to ultimately make this whole strategy work, which is why the headline is the most important aspect of everything that we do today. So we're going to talk about a few examples and how to get how to get individuals to connect with you, but also to get individuals to actually click through to your profile. So you look here on my friend's profile, Phil. He's done a great job of optimizing his headline, but also his name and even his company section. But when it comes down to it, when we need to come up with a headline that ultimately encourages whoever's looking at that in the search results or looking at it in a profile to actually click through. And so optimizing this is going to be key. So today, what we're going to focus on is going through a few examples that will hopefully get the wheels turning, give you some ideas on how you can optimize your own title and headline to get those click-through rates up and really take advantage of the fact that you've increased your ranking within LinkedIn. You've become more visible, but now we have to get people to actually click on your profile. Because while your profile is public domain, it's still somewhat private because it has all of your information. And so it's like someone walking in the front door of your house. If somebody was to come in the front door, you have the right to ask them, what are you doing here? And that's essentially what we're trying to do, is trying to get anyone to look at your profile, because that creates an inbound lead. And once they're there, LinkedIn will report that back to you, and you can start engaging. You have the right to engage with these prospects from that point forward. So let's go ahead and play around with a few ideas. We're going to use the example of being a technology advisor in the healthcare space. You can use it. This is just an example. Obviously, you can apply this to any type of industry that you're working in, but hopefully this will help spark some ideas on how to optimize your own headline. So the first one would be helping healthcare providers avoid costly mistakes. So this is good because it instantly helps individuals understand the value that you bring to the table. Now, there's different headline strategies. And remember, we're working on two different aspects here, and sometimes, depending on where you're at in your LinkedIn strategy, your headline will reflect that. So sometimes we're trying to get more connections, and so our headline will be optimized for building new connections within LinkedIn. And other times we're trying to optimize click-through rates. But chances are you're trying to do both at the same time, and so you may want to come up with a headline that caters to both ends of the strategy. Another good title would be Solving Healthcare's 3 Toughest Problems. What I like about this example is that it piques the curiosity of the individual looking at your profile. It's also brief, which would fit on a lot of other areas where they may cut off your headline a little bit. And so what this does is it entices the end user to actually click on your profile to figure out what the 3 toughest problems are in healthcare. Another good example is Unbiased Healthcare Advisor. If this is something that they may be looking for, or maybe this is something that they value, they would obviously want to click through and maybe engage with you. Another good example is Solving the Top 10 Problems in Healthcare. So that might be something that they want to understand, what are those top 10 problems? Or giving healthcare providers 3 hours back a day. So that would also pique interest of healthcare providers who may be struggling with time. And so if that's something that you identify as one of your value positions, and also something that's fairly common within your industry, this may be something that you try to highlight, because they're going to want to understand, well, how do you do that? Another good example is helping healthcare providers keep their clients. So if this is something that you feel like you have some experience with, and you're able to leverage technology to help them optimize their clients' engagement, then this may be something that you look at as well as your headline to help entice the end users and prospects to actually click through. Eliminating IT in healthcare. So maybe there's a lot of IT headaches, and helping them optimize that and get rid of the struggle with IT within healthcare. This may be something that you would highlight as well. So again, it depends on what your strengths are and what you see as your industry's biggest challenge, and that's one of the areas that you're going to want to highlight within these profile headings. Implementing the top 10 trends in healthcare. So maybe you're trying to help healthcare providers stay ahead of the game. Helping save healthcare organizations. So maybe you specialize in helping healthcare organizations overcome challenges that they may be facing. Undoing bad decisions in healthcare. So maybe they've dealt with a lot of different vendors who have cost them a lot of time, resources, and energy, and helping them undo that may be something that you cater to. Retaining healthcare clients using technology. So maybe that's their challenge, is retaining healthcare clients. Using technology to avoid healthcare lawsuits. So maybe lawsuits are something that's top of mind for them, or would at least entice them. So something to keep in mind is you don't have to do a lot of guesswork here. Essentially what you want to do is you want to test drive these and see what works for you. Using technology to get help of your clients. And so maybe that's something that you're able to do with using different software and integrations and helping them to avoid that. Using technology to avoid HIPAA violations. So maybe that's top of mind. Implementing technology that does what it's supposed to. So oftentimes deployments aren't necessarily what they always are made out to be. And so maybe that's something that they can relate to. Helping others recognize the top 3 HIPAA violations. So maybe that would pique their interest. So again, these are all just examples. There's a lot of room here for you to go out and explore your own options. But hopefully this will give you some ideas. The ultimate goal here is not necessarily to explain what you do in your value proposition, but it's more about trying to get them to click on your profile, because that's what creates the leads for you, because then they've entered your domain, and you want to be able to take advantage of that thanks to the LinkedIn's and the system that reports back to you who's viewing your profile. But once they're in your profile, we want to make sure that we optimize the next most important section, which is the summary section. And so when we're looking at this section, there's a few areas that we're going to want to focus on. So this is a good example of what you would typically see on somebody's profile. And there's nothing really that bad about it. It's a good summary. But what I want to do today is I want to contrast this against a great summary so that you kind of see the difference and see what direction you want to take. So let me read this to you. This is an actual summary that was taken that I borrowed from somebody else's profile. It says, "We are the leading technology advisor in Kansas City. Our clients have trusted us for more than 15 years with their technology decisions. We leverage the latest technologies to bring innovative, efficient communication solutions to businesses around the world." So this is good. There's nothing really that bad with it, but there's a much better way to approach this. So here's a contrasted example, and hopefully you can kind of see the differences, and we'll talk about what those differences are here in a second. So JFT Consulting helps your medical office avoid embarrassing and costly technology mistakes through independent and unbiased advice for your technology decisions. As the only independent healthcare technology advisor in Kansas City, no one is better positioned to help you make the right decisions about your technology solutions. With more than 15 years in the healthcare industry and hundreds of happy clients, JFT Consulting knows what is going to work for your business. Call us today for a free consultation. So the main thing that we want to highlight between the two different summaries was the first one was good, but what makes this a lot better is we're talking directly to the client. It's not generic, but we're using the word you and your more often. And that what this says is that it really helps speak to the client, which helps them feel your message a lot stronger. We've also used the word only. You'll notice that in most descriptions you'll see someone describe their company as the leading provider of, or one of the top providers of. And what that does is it triggers in the client's mind that they need to continue the research process because there's other companies that do something similar. But when you employ the word only, it triggers in the client's mind that they've reached their destination. There are no other options to consider. And so find a way to phrase honestly what makes your company unique in order to use the word only. Another area that we also want to make sure is, even though we're going to be following up with each of the individuals that view our profile, it's also helpful to have a call to action for them in case they want to act right away. Now, once you've started to drive traffic, you should start seeing about 12 to 15 profile views a day. each of these profile views are really golden prospects for you. But it's important that you follow up with each of these individuals the same day that they view your profile, because if you wait a week or a few days, they're going to forget why or even the fact that they were on your profile. So following up in a timely manner is really important. And it's definitely worth it to pay for LinkedIn's premium service for this. I think that's around $47 to $50 a month for their lowest tier, and that'll give you access to these profile views. And it's well worth it once you start driving that traffic to your profile to use this to optimize it. If you're using Ensable, this is a great opportunity to load any of these companies into your tracking mechanism to help nurture and work with those opportunities on a regular basis. And so you can load the company names into Ensable. We'll give you daily updates about changes that are taking place within those organizations. So once individuals are starting to view your profile, which they're probably already doing today, I wanted to walk through a scenario to kind of explain what the engagement process would look like. And this is just one example, but typically I would start out with an open-ended question, something that would entice them to actually respond. And so you, in this case, I said, can I ask a quick question? And obviously they're going to say, sure, that's something that most people would probably respond to. And I'm going to say, I'm going to take a lesson from Stu Heineke's book, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone, and I'm going to say, I'm writing an article about the top 3 IT challenges in the healthcare industry. Would you be willing to share with me what your top challenge is? And so what this does is it's just saying, look, I need some advice. I'd like to get your opinion, which is flattering to them. But it also helps us in a format that's not invading to the prospect, to get some idea of what's going on inside of their business, what are their challenges. And because it's being written for an article, it's much easier to get that information from them. And once they respond, you can say, well, thank you. Would you be willing to be quoted in the article? And so this helps us to further the relationship with the individual. And so this is a great way to solidify the relationship, to further flatter them, and to move the sales conversation along. So you're going to ask permission to quote them in the article based off of the feedback that they provided you. And the article just can be published directly on LinkedIn, which is great because you can tag the individual, but it's really easy to just post this either on your blog or on your article on LinkedIn. And so this is a great way to do this. And so once they give you the feedback, you can create another excuse to follow up with them in the future, because once the article is finished, you can send it back over to them and further that sales dialogue. And then once you provide the link, you can follow up a few days later and say, look, I'd love to give you an Amazon gift card or some type of a gift card based off of what you believe their interest would be to further this conversation. But also what the whole purpose of giving them a gift card is to make the relationship feel a little bit unbalanced on the favor side. So even though they've done something for you, quoting them in the article, sending them a gift card, this helps you solidify the relationship further so that when you engage them down the road about a possible sales opportunity or a meeting, they almost feel obligated to take that conversation. And so that's really what we're trying to do here, is trying to help ease our way into these conversations. And because they've been looking at our profile, it makes it much easier to engage with them, and it makes it feel much more natural.